BYU versus Alabama in the Sweet 16. Mitch Harper here with KSL Sports from Newark, New Jersey. Both teams had practice today here at the Prudential Center, and they also spoke with the media, had open locker room access. I think a lot of the national media and media here on the East Coast was looking to talk with Kevin Young about his NBA background and find out more from him about, how his operation is working. We've already dove into that with the local media, but I think there was a lot of interest in this BYU program from the East Coast media and the national media to kind of dive into how this program is actually working and operating as they get to the Sweet 16, because you look at the three other programs in this regional, you got two blue bloods in Duke and Arizona. Alabama's become a powerhouse as of late. BYU's kind of the new guy on the block. I think a lot of people wanted to find out more on that. Kevin Young gave some great answers about the donor base and the program at large and how it's operating at a pretty high level, and they feel like they've got a lot of potential in college basketball. Personnel-wise, BYU's got their full 11-man rotation ready to go and available for tomorrow against the Crimson Tide. Same goes for Alabama. Nate Oates said that his rosters should be all good to go. Nelson is still a little bit banged up, not quite 100% yet, but this should be two full rosters going head-to-head in what should be a high-powered offensive game here in Newark. And I think that's going to be interesting here in this matchup is which team is able to provide the elite defense on the floor. Nate Oates said that he needs his defense to be elite to slow down BYU. Richie Saunders is pretty confident that BYU has got the ability to, I don't want to say slow down Alabama because no one really does that, but to make things difficult for them. It's going to be really intriguing to see some of the matchups, particularly even in the post. Keba Keita, who's been a real tone setter for BYU in recent games, physically is able to kind of be a tone setter again in this matchup. Cliff Amorori, he's someone that was a big storyline here in New Jersey. Same with Mawut Mag. Both those guys were roommates at Rutgers last year. Now they're going to be facing off tomorrow in the Sweet 16. But this is going to be, I think, a high-level matchup between two programs that are kind of on the cutting edge of basketball now. I think Oates and Kevin Young are both two coaches that are a couple steps ahead of the pack when it comes to the analytics and how they view the game of basketball, and kind of seeing this all come together. It should be a really fun matchup. And then BYU's got the challenge of trying to slow down an Alabama team that's got 7 different guys who've had individual game-high performances of more than 20 points in a given game this season. So you could point to Mark Sears, the consensus All-American guard, to try to slow him down. There's so much more to this Alabama team to try to slow down. So this is going to be the toughest test for BYU outside of the Houston matchups. I feel like this is the second best team that BYU will have faced. And Kevin Young noted they got their hands full taking on the Crimson Tide. They arrived into town last night a little bit delayed. There was a delay with their plane ride, so a little bit of an adjustment with the body clock, whereas Alabama got here earlier in the week. They've settled in. And whereas BYU, it's been a quick turnaround. They were the first team to practice today and to go through all the media, press conference, and things like that in the open locker room. So it was really good stuff. Some tidbits from some of the player interviews. A lot of confidence, I think, with this team. BYU is playing really loose, really confident right now, and there's a feeling that they want to get more. They're not satisfied simply with the Sweet 16, whereas you thought maybe they would be a little bit complacent with saying, hey, we've already done our job. We've reached heights that this program hasn't accomplished in 14 years. Maybe they feel like the job is accomplished, but I do get the sense still that they look like there's a lot more to be had for this NCAA tournament run. So we also heard from Duke and Arizona, who are in the other Sweet 16 matchup. So it's going to be a loaded Thursday night here in Newark. We will have you covered on KSLSports.com. Tip-off at 5:09 p.m. Mountain Time. We'll get extended pregame started on KSL News Radio at 3 o'clock here from Newark. So check out all the coverage on KSLSports.com.